Well, now joined by Athletic Director at the University of Missouri, Laird Veatch. AD Veatch, thanks for coming to St. Louis, spending some time. I think the most obvious question off the bat is your initial reaction to finding out that your men's basketball team's staying home for the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, we were super fired up, immediately. And, I will say that, from our perspective, not only just for our team and the opportunity to be here with our fans, but St. Louis, it's like our most critical market, and to be able to have the opportunity to come here, spend time like this with you and so many others, we are taking full advantage, sending a lot of staff over here, seeing as many people as we can, sponsors, donors, etc. And it's just a huge opportunity. Super excited.
Were you a little surprised? I know maybe you guys get tipped off at points of like what could be, but were you a little surprised you guys get to play in St. Louis?
Well, I don't know if surprise is the right word. Excited, and you certainly don't know. I mean, there is this myth that ADs or head coaches really have an idea beforehand. The reality of it is we hear rumors too, and we're making calls to committee members and doing all the things we can to angle for it. But the reality of it is you just don't know until everybody else finds out. And it was certainly ideal. We thought it might happen, but till it happens, it's not a thing.
And the myth there is like it's different than football, because in football we all look to you and say, what bowl game are you guys going to? Mm-hmm. But basketball and these other sports, when it comes to the actual NCAA tournament, it's much different.
Yeah,
correct.
Absolutely. Yeah, and a lot of it is really that just the integrity of the show, right? Yeah. When they reveal all those ranks, it's a big deal. So in this day and age, you can't let those things out early. Things leak too easy. So yeah, we find out when everybody else does.
What does this do for your university? Not only being in the NCAA tournament, Dennis Gates has gone 3 times since he's been the head coach at Mizzou, but being able to kind of put it on a bigger spotlight in your home state, in one of your biggest markets in your home state.
Yeah, it's fantastic. And we talk all the time about, our ultimate benefit to our university is being that brand driver, right? And, having that exposure on a national level is awesome, but then right in your biggest market where the majority of your students are drawing from, where so many of our alumni and fans, so many of our business partners, they're all based right here, and it's like our biggest growth area, right? So it's just a massive opportunity for us.
You mentioned it earlier. You said we got staff coming here, we got people coming here. When a university goes to the NCAA tournament, it is a big deal, and you guys send staff no matter where you guys would have ended. You would have ended up in Buffalo, New York. You have a bunch of Mizzou people going to Buffalo, New York. But how do you really take advantage of this spotlight in St. Louis this week by maybe even going all hands on deck to come to St. Louis?
Yeah, it really comes down to that. So, if we were in Buffalo, the reality of it is we'd send a small crew up on, probably the day of the game, right? And maybe see a few people in the area, maybe stay the next night, and then, of course, keep playing. But here it became taking over the full week, right? I mean, our staff became all hands on deck of managing the tickets and the demand, and then all the requests we're getting, but also having an event at Ballpark Village and using that relationship that we have and making sure we have the most prominent spot. So when fans get off work on Friday, they can just go right there and start to gather and have a few beverages, build up some energy. We're going to have free shuttles over to Enterprise Center. So just an incredible opportunity, and we're looking at it on all fronts, whether that's spending time with you and others, but just being here and using the energy that's building around Mizzou to further our cause.
You mentioned Ballpark Village. How else can fans be involved, even if they're not going to the game, but be involved with Mizzou while they're here this weekend?
Yeah, that's the first thing I would say. On Friday, hopefully we're getting fans in that arena. That is priority one. But show up to Ballpark Village after work. We're gonna have a pep rally. I'd say 7 o'clock or so beforehand. But it's just a gathering point and getting that energy and around. And one of the things that we enjoy so much is the relationships that are built around Mizzou basketball, Mizzou athletics. And this is just another one of those chances. And then tomorrow afternoon, I think it's 3:30. We have our shoot around at the arena, so it's our chance to go in there. But it's an open practice, right? So fans can come if maybe they aren't able to be at the game, but you have a child that wants to see the Mizzou Tigers live and in person, come by. It's open. We're going to have an event after that for alumni and fans at the Midwestern. So it's a great opportunity for us all across the board.
How would you look at this season under Dennis Gates from an athletic director perspective? Because it's kind of been a little up and down. The last time you were in St. Louis didn't go necessarily as planned against Illinois, and then right after that in SEC play, you guys started great in SEC play, a couple ups, couple downs, buzzer beaters here and there, and ultimately you're in the NCAA tournament. How would you, as the athletic director at Mizzou, look at this season?
Yeah, we're certainly pleased with where we're at, and particularly with the landing of where we are now. And I think you also first of all have to look at it over the breadth of his time here. It's third NCAA tournament in 4 years. It's the first time in almost over a dozen years that we've had back-to-back 10-win seasons in the conference and back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances. So he is really building something. Yeah, they have ups and downs. I think you see that across college athletics, particularly in college basketball with turnover and change. So, from game to game or year to year, there's going to be some ups and downs, but really building something and happy with where we're at.
I think every time I talk to you, like something new happens in college sports. And it's like, what happened this week? ADP's like, what are we going to talk about at this point? There was an article that came out about how much money these schools are spending on basketball and how much money goes into not only athletics, but their basketball program and their football program. You've always talked about continue to adapt, try to be on the forefront, do things at the University of Missouri that gets, players and fans excited to be there, but also lead the way in college athletics. As things continue to go up and money continues to go up and everything seems to continue to rise, how have you, as an athletic director and as an athletic department, continue to grow and try to be on the forefront when it changes so fast?
It's certainly challenging for us and everybody. But first of all, we are in a place right now that's pretty dang good. We've got a big state. We got these two big markets. A lot of partners that are really excited about investing more and more. So first of all, most importantly, it's about us being on the front line and having those conversations. And I am really excited about the conversations we're having with business partners. So many conversations really come down to how they can impact our team, but it also has to be about how we impact them. And there's a growing awareness that the basketball and football programs at Mizzou are or becoming more and more the most prominent thing in our state. Right. So as we continue to work with those business partners and develop those relationships, they're starting to see that the more they invest in us, the more we win, the more benefit it comes back to them, not just in terms of that direct sponsorship, but in the state and the brand of the state. And as we develop young people and future employees and the overall enrollment to the university, but also the economic impact to the state and the region. So it is becoming more and more a bigger deal and a bigger awareness among those partnerships. And that's really where the rubber meets the road for us. And we can talk about all the strategies behind the scenes we want in terms of managing all this, but ultimately it comes down to developing those partners in a real high-level way. And that engagement is really good. I feel good about a lot of those things that are developing. They take a little time, but it is absolutely the number one most important thing we can do.
When you look at these programs, and I think specifically football, when you look at how much money some of these programs are spending around the nation, and you're getting in the tens of millions of dollars, when you go to donors, when you go to businesses to invest in Mizzou athletics, what's the biggest challenge there? And I know Drinkwitz has gone to 2-year contracts, which I do believe has probably helped because you're not just essentially going for a rental for 1 year, spending the money there, if that makes sense. But what's the biggest challenge there in continuing to get people to invest this amount of money when it seems like there's no ceiling and it can just go to infinity, but not everybody has infinity dollars?
Yeah, I think the biggest challenge is just making sure that the partners know that we're serious about ROI for them, right? Because it can't just be a check that they're writing to us so that we go win ball games, right? It has to be a true win-win relationship, and those kind of conversations and building those types of relationships take time, right? Particularly when you're talking about, the large companies that have a very national kind of presence. They're going to be really thoughtful about how they invest their dollars, right? So we have to engage with them in that way and go through a process. Now, fortunately for us, there's also some really big assets coming on the table in terms of opportunities for those partners, like the naming of our stadium, jersey rights, those kind of things that just haven't been there in the past in terms of availability for us to really, deeply dig into those kind of relationships. So there's a lot of opportunities, and the challenge is just time and engagement, right? We have to develop that with them. But I feel great about the conversations, the openness to it, the awareness of it, the alignment all the way up to the governor of the state of Missouri and his support and recognition of what is happening at Mizzou, and just the long-term benefits. If we continue to invest in really heavy, significant ways because of the platform we're on in the SEC, we have a chance to really impact the state of Missouri. You
mentioned naming rights. You mentioned the patch on the jersey. How have those processes gone so far as you continue to move through those? Yeah, really good. And we're in the early stages, right? Those conversations are starting, and they are, really significant, multiple seven-figure kind of investments. So they take time. But the receptivity to it, the excited response we're getting from those sponsors in terms of, you look at the metrics for those things and what they do from a visibility standpoint for those brands, and the opportunity for us to really build that, build around those kind of opportunities in really integrated ways, and that's where NIL can really make a difference for a company, is because it allows us to really personalize and activate those partnerships in a real high level way. So. It's a process, right? But it's a really good process, and we are fortunate here to have the platform, to have the receptivity, to have the companies, the population. All those things are here. So we just got to continue to work at it, continue to build on the momentum we're established in basketball and what Coach Gates is doing, and also in football, and several of our other sports are doing well. So got to continue to ride that and build it aggressively, but build it in a way that's going to be smart and have long-term returns as well. There was a roundtable in Washington with President Trump and a lot of athletic directors and people involved, and Coach Drinkwitz has been on record of saying things need to change in college athletics at some point, because the direction we're going isn't necessarily deemed for long-term success, not only for the programs but for the student athletes. As an athletic director, how do you envision things? I don't know if getting fixed is the right word, but trending in a more sustainable direction, and how involved can you be on a national level and a local level with Mizzou to make sure that the student athlete experience doesn't get out of hand? Yeah, it is a complex, very deep-rooted challenge that we're all facing. So for us, both myself, or whether it's our coaches, President Choi, we have platforms primarily through the SEC, and we're with our counterparts in the SEC to really work through and understand those different options and perspectives that we're trying to push forward. But for us, really, our day-to-day is to make sure that Mizzou is positioned to manage that wherever it goes, right? We can't necessarily, we can maybe influence a little bit, but we can't necessarily control where all this heads. So the thing we focus on every day is making sure that we are doing all we can in the moment to really build something, and to maintain the flexibility and the strategy behind the scenes. So as this thing develops, we're in a position to continue to take advantage of it, be on the front end, be competitive as it evolves. But it's going to continue to change, and it's going to continue to change at a very rapid pace. So how do we manage that as we go through it? That's our day-to-day focus. A lot of interesting parts of college athletics, and I think you probably hear it more than I do, but every once in a while in the community, they're like, how does this work? I'm like, I don't know. So this has been really nice for you to be able to kind of break down some of these aspects of college athletics with us here today in St. Louis. Last thing, I want to go back to the men's basketball game. As you spend the next, hopefully, 4 or 5 days in St. Louis, because that would mean you guys are playing all the way until Sunday. What's this 4 or 5 days look like for you? I can't imagine a lot of sleep, but a lot of shaking hands. Right, and hopefully watching some really good basketball here in town. Well, first of all, it's a lot of fun. I mean, you have opportunities like this, rarely, where you have a national stage like this in your backyard in this sort of critical market for us. So for us, we're going to be talking to a lot of people. When it comes down to it, we're just going to be going from meeting to meeting to meeting to event to event to event, and really trying to live in the moment and enjoy it. Ultimately, we need people to be there in the arena, and we need it to be loud, and we need to take over that place and support Coach Gates and that program, and to take advantage of a really special moment. Awesome. Well, Athletic Director at the University of Missouri, Laird Veatch, thanks for coming in studio with us in our Sports on 4 podcast studio. Enjoy your time in St. Louis, and good luck this weekend. Thank you. Appreciate it. MIZ.